So here we have a couple issues because we have two radicals in the denominator, which we're not allowed to have. So in order to get rid of those, we're going to need to rationalize the denominator. And in order to do that, we need to get rid of these radicals. Well, we'll have to multiply radical 5 by itself and radical 2 also by itself. We're going to do that by multiplying a binomial. Now, when we double distribute, we want to get rid of all radicals. So what we can't have is that middle term. So we're going to multiply by what we call the conjugate, which is that same binomial, but the opposite sign. And by doing that, those middle radical terms will cancel out, and you'll get a completely rationalized denominator. Again, that's called the conjugate. So if we do that on bottom, we also need to do that on top. So on the bottom, we need to double distribute. We get radical 5 times radical 5 is just 5. Radical 5 times radical 2 would be radical 10. Negative radical 2 times radical 5 would be negative radical 10. And negative radical 2 times radical 2 will be negative 1 times 2. So negative 2. And then radical 10 minus radical 10 will cancel out. And on the bottom, we'll be left with 5 plus negative 2, which is 3. All right, and then on the top, we also have to distribute this in. So it'd be 3 radical 2 times radical 5 would be 3 radical 10. And 3 radical 2 times radical 2 will be 3 times radical 2 times radical 2 is 2. So on top, we have 6 plus 3 radical 10. And on the bottom, we have 3. And up on top, we can actually factor out a 3. So it'd be 3, 2 plus radical 10 over 3. And those 3's will cancel, and you're left with 2 plus radical 10 as your answer.